Hello, good morning, and welcome to this April Week in My Life vlog. I wanted to take you along with me this week and just bring you on the journey with everything that's kind of going on at this point in life, have it be a little time capsule of this springtime month. And ideally, I'm hoping to make a Week in My Life vlog every month for the rest of this year, because it's a really big year. We have our wedding coming up this year, all of the pre-wedding events, and just it feels like a very pivotal, transformational type of year personally. So I think it would be really fun to document as the months go by and see how we grow and change and things like that. And speaking of growing, we're gonna start this week off at my little job that I have this spring at a local greenhouse. I want to show you some of the flowers, what we do on the day-to-day, which lately has been consisting of doing a lot of planting. And then after that, we'll continue on with our week. So the weather here in Buffalo in April is pretty up and down. Today we're having a pretty rainy day out there. It's gotten a lot cooler, but the past 2 days actually have been sunny and lovely, and I've been able to go outside without a jacket, which is such a huge win. We don't really get full force spring here. It's very gray a lot of the time, so any sunny days, everybody comes out and they are celebrating the sun. Everyone's really itching for some warmer weather, which is fair. The winters are long and summer is around the corner, so we're taking everything day by day and appreciating all the little moments along the way. But something I wanted to give you an update on, speaking of taking things day by day, is my healing journey. So if you watched any of my Walt Disney World vlogs from March, you'll know that I was going on that trip with 84 food sensitivities, which is a lot. I've been on a food reactivity protocol to basically lower the inflammation in my digestive system, and that is based on a test called the mediator release test that my nutritional therapist recommended me to take. I've been carefully following this regimen since I think mid-February now. So we're doing really good. We're in this stage where we can start slowly reintroducing things back. I'm taking my time with this just because, you know, it's a lot, and I'm still getting some symptoms, but it has decreased drastically, which is so great, and I'm so thankful. So I wanted to show you what this test actually looks like. Also, just a disclaimer, this is based on my personal experience. I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending anything specific medically. Talk to your own practitioners before moving forward with anything like this. But I just wanted to share what my experience is like in case you were curious, because this has been a long journey, as we all know. So this is what the test looks like, the mediator release test. So it's divided up into different categories of foods, and you can see which ones cause more reactivity and which ones don't based on the color. So greens are the ones that cause less reactivity. Yellow is pretty reactive and red is unfortunately the most reactive. Wheat is my most reactive, which is very sad for me since my favorite food is bread. So that's been difficult, but it divides it up by different categories. There's meat, poultry, there's fruits, there's grains, there's vegetables. So there was a very specific way we followed this protocol. I had to eat foods that were under a specific reactivity number for about a month, and then I could start slowly reintroducing based on the number, letting it build. The base level was 1.5. As the weeks went on, I could add in 1.6 foods, then I could add in 1.7 foods, et cetera, et cetera. My biggest number is 3.1, so it does take a while. I actually had a high intolerance for something called solanine, which is in a lot of nightshades, as well as salicylic acid, which is in a lot of fruits, including things like berries. I was gonna sit here and give you a list of things like I couldn't eat versus what I could eat, but there's too many to list. So I guess what I can do is I can just kind of give you a little screen cap here of all of the foods I can eat. You can pause to read it. Essentially, if it's not on this list, I haven't really been able to eat it. And the only things that I've added back in so far have been things like plums, black beans, butternut squash, cucumber, cow's milk. So we're taking it slow, but we're getting there. Just wanted to give a little health update on the food sensitivity protocol. We're chugging along, we're making progress. So hopefully by next month, I'll have more updates for you and we'll be doing even better than we are today. There are some other pieces of the puzzle as well regarding this health journey. One of them has been doing therapy again, which has been really great. I'm working with a therapist who specializes in psychoimmunology, which is the connection of the brain to the body and the nervous system, and noticing how a lot of symptoms are actually emotional root causes. So we've been digging into that, digging into a lot of, suppressed emotions, getting those out. That's been a journey in itself, and I'm very, very thankful that that has become part of my journey because I think it was a key that was really missing for a long time. So very thankful, planning to continue that for a nice long time. And then the other thing is a more physical thing. So I don't know if I've ever talked about this before in full detail, but I have actually never been able to burp my whole entire life. I have emetophobia, which is a severe fear of vomiting. So when I was very, very young, probably like 5, 7, I don't even really know, I have this distinct memory of essentially realizing I couldn't burp, and I think it was because I was so scared of getting sick. So I've lived with that my whole entire life. I thought it was like kind of convenient because I'm like, well, great, I can't burp, I can't throw up, like how nice for me. But as I've developed more stomach issues, it's become very, very, very painful and uncomfortable, essentially. So I didn't really realize this was a thing, like I sort of did, and I actually looked into it several years ago and realized there was a clinic who treats it. They actually originated the treatment, and it's becoming a little bit more widespread, but it's very brand new. And I came across it again a few months ago and was like, you know what, I need to pursue getting treatment for this because it's not that complicated of a treatment, but you do need to seek some medical attention and work with the right doctors for that. So the condition is called R-CPD, and I'll type out what it stands for on the screen because I don't even know how to pronounce it, but there's basically a muscle in the esophagus that just doesn't work properly and does not release air. So yeah, a lot of stuckness going on. We ended up looking around for treatment for the past few months locally, but there aren't really too many doctors around here who are super familiar with it. Even ones that I got recommendations for, their staff were not really sure about the procedure, so I wasn't feeling super confident, so we ended up looking into the original place that originated this procedure, which is in Chicago. So long story short, we are going to Chicago this weekend. It is going to be a little fun, but a little bit medical too. We're going to go to a Cubs game, meet up with my friend Liz, and then have 2 days of the tests and the procedure before coming home. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how this is going to turn out. I'm a little nervous because it's going to change something within my body, which is always nerve-wracking, especially if you have a severe phobia. But I also am getting to the point where I can't just keep holding things in all of the time. Like, I have to become brave with releasing air, and also like emotionally too, this was translating, like I was keeping a lot of things stuck. So letting things out, being my authentic self, also translating, I guess, to burping and releasing. But it's funny how the body and like health symptoms connect to emotional symptoms. So if you have any physical ailments, I think it's really interesting to always look at the emotional root causes and see what's actually going on, because I mean, 10 times out of 10, it's been pretty spot on for me. There is a book that I know by Louise Hay. I'll put it in the description, but it has a list of all of the emotional root causes for different medical conditions. So super interesting. But anyways, we're gonna pack for Chicago and then we're gonna leave tomorrow morning, which is good. Tonight, I essentially just want to relax. I wanna take a bath and I want to edit some vlogs and completely pack my suitcase. So that's really all I have on the agenda for tonight, and I'm excited about it. So we're gonna go do that. Thanks for listening to the health update. Hope it was interesting if you've been following along. And it's just interesting to see progress month after month. So I'm hoping that this month is a turning point, because it's been a long journey and it's felt a little bit stagnant, but I feel the energy moving. I feel things shifting. So I think actually having a procedure done and doing this work consistently, not only with food, but also mentally, emotionally, I think it's gonna make some shifts. So let's continue on our night and get packed for Chicago. Chicago. I have so many updates for you. This has been a wild weekend, but we're making some really fabulous progress. So we arrived in Chicago a few days ago. We got to our Airbnb and we had some issues. It wasn't quite suitable for our stay. I'll just say that. We ended up needing to switch to a hotel that night, and then booked a new Airbnb for the rest of the time, which is where I'm at currently, and it is so beautiful here. It's in a beautiful little neighborhood. You're probably hearing some basketballs over here, some traffic over here, but I'm in this beautiful little fenced-in backyard, and just soaking up every moment. There's a sidewalk in this neighborhood, so we've been able to take some walks. There's grass in the backyard, so I can just put my feet in the grass when we wake up in the morning. It is heavenly. I love it. So we have figured out our whole living situation here, and then we did something fun yesterday. We went to a Cubs game, which was great. We got to go, me, Steven, my parents, and then my friend Liz and her boyfriend Theo, which was so much fun. The Cubs lost to the Phillies, which was not great, but it was so cool to go to Wrigley Field. That is one of the baseball fields that is high on my bucket list. Of course, it's very historical. That one and Fenway Park are the two that I really have always wanted to go to, so we checked this one off the list, which is so great. And then today we are here, and this is the real reason we're in Chicago. As I say that, the Windy City is being windy, but we came to Chicago because I was seeking treatment for a medical condition that I suspected called R-CPD, which is when the esophageal sphincter doesn't properly open to release gas, aka I can't burp and never have been able to, besides when I was an infant. And I think it stemmed from my emetophobia, which is a vomit phobia. I came across this condition years ago actually, but it came back into my awareness back in about December and January when I realized, while reading the symptoms, it was exactly what I had been experiencing. A lot of like gurgling in your system, intense bloating to where you look 5-6 months pregnant by the end of the day. You prefer to lay down because it doesn't hurt as much. You can't really do a lot of nighttime activities because there's so much buildup. And just like every symptom that I had been experiencing was completely parallel to this. And you know, it's something that I've experienced for a very long time, and I think just at this point it's been building up and building up, and my stress around my health has gotten higher. It's just gotten a lot more intense, and thank God it came into my awareness. So anyways, all that being said, we came to Chicago to go to the Bastian Voice Institute, which is where they treat this newly discovered condition of R-CPD. I'm very grateful that Bastian Voice Institute is not terribly far from us. It's, you know, Chicago to Buffalo is about an 1.5-hour flight, and thankfully we were able to make that work. But people come to this institute from all around the world. The receptionist said that people from about 17 different countries and counting have come there, and doctors come there all the time to learn from Dr. Bastian, who was the founder of this procedure. So all that being said, today I went in for my consultation, and how it works is there are 2 days of the process. It's really interesting. So the first day I went in and I talked to the doctor. I worked with Dr. Hosley, and she went through all of my symptoms. They had me fill out a form, and it was very, very thorough, down to all my symptoms, every detail, and she went through all that with me and basically said, you know, you're an exact match to a candidate for this condition, but just to make sure, they do a scope. So they stick a tube through your nose and do a scope just down to the esophagus so they can see, you know, what's going on. And that was the scariest part for me, because you're actually awake for that scope, but they spray numbing spray in your nose and it kind of goes into your throat. She was the reason I was able to do this. She kept me very, very calm. She talked me through the whole entire thing, and, you know, made me just remember, she's like, tell your brain that this is normal, it's not a big deal, like pretend it's a piece of spaghetti, which I did, and it worked. So she was able to get photos and videos of my whole entire nose, throat, and esophagus, and everything looked really beautiful, except in the esophagus there is your trachea, and your trachea is just supposed to be one circle, but for the R-CPD patients it kind of comes out to look like a pear shape because there's so much air trapped in there. So that's exactly what was going on. So I finally have an official diagnosis, which is so relieving. I've been going to doctors for years and years and years and years, and every time I do a test, everything comes back pretty much fine, minus a few little things here and there that are not super significant. So this was, you know, it's not fun to get a diagnosis, but it is really relieving, especially when it's a condition that there is treatment for. So that was fabulous, and I'm so thankful. She spent so much time with us going over every single potential side effect for the procedure, every single portion of the procedure, answered any questions we had, and it was great. It was a great appointment. So that's day one. Then day two is going to be tomorrow. I go in really early and I have the procedure done, which they do put you under anesthesia for. And then what they do is they inject Botox into the esophageal sphincter, so it relaxes the muscle, so then air can eventually come out of your system. So it should take about 24 to 72 hours for the Botox to kick in to relax the muscle, and then you have to retrain yourself on how to burp, so your body remembers how to do it after the Botox wears off in 3 months. So they have a really great success rate with this procedure. Typically they do see results for 97% of the patients, which is really fabulous, and 80% of the patients have the effects stick afterwards. For those 20% who don't, it may have not been enough Botox, or something happens where they do need to get the procedure redone. But once it's redone, they can start the process over again to make sure that that muscle really builds that muscle memory. It's kind of like riding a bike. So we're gonna have to learn how to burp on a normal, consistent basis. It's so funny, but something that is such a normal bodily function is just something that we can so easily take for granted, and I just never realized that it could cause so many issues, but I always did have speculation. So I'm just so grateful to be here. I walked out of that appointment feeling like I could actually see a light at the end of the tunnel more than ever, because I've been on a health journey for many, 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 many years. And even if this doesn't solve every single issue that I've had, it really, really will make a difference. And then it eliminates this layer. So if there's anything else I really need to work on gut health wise or anything, like I can really work on it more targeted and have the effects actually take place, instead of kind of being stuck in this limbo that I've been in for a very long time. So anyways, I wanted to give you an update on that because that is the real reason we're here in Chicago. I am so, so, so thankful this worked out, because it really has the potential to give me a lot of my life back, and I will keep you updated on what happens from here. But I do know that this really 100% intuitively feels like the right next move to me, and I'm so grateful to be able to do it. And as far as my experience with the Bastian Voice Institute so far, could not recommend them enough. Every single person we interacted with was so kind, so wonderful, and so knowledgeable. I felt really, really taken care of, which is so important. So I am excited to get this procedure done tomorrow. I think this is the least anxious I've ever been for a medical procedure, because I usually tend to be anxious when it comes to medical stuff, but there's just so much peace in my heart, and I'm so excited for this next chapter. It feels like a new chapter of my life that's about to unfold on the other side of this. So I am really excited, and I'm really grateful for this experience. So I'll check in with you tomorrow after the procedure, let you know how it went, but that's where we're at right now, and we're gonna see how it goes. So my R-CPD treatment is officially over. I am so thankful, so happy, and I want to tell you a little bit about it on the day that it happened, just because it's super fresh, and I finally feel like I've come out of the anesthesia. zone. So I'll just kind of tell you about how the day went, what the process was like, and some takeaways as well. So this morning I went to the surgery center nearby, and I needed to have a driver, so I'm very thankful my mom was with me. Also, I'm a little sore, so bear with me if my voice is lower and slower. We checked in. Even the receptionist was so kind, and they called me back. I had my nurse practitioner prep me through everything, fill out forms, and she put in an IV for hydration, which was great because I did have to fast from midnight last night to the procedure this morning, so I couldn't drink water, couldn't eat anything. So I think I had my last meal or any last food or drink around 10 p.m. last night. They did allow me to take my thyroid medication though with 1 sip of water, which was good. She prepped me. She gave me a gown, a hairnet, some socks. They gave me Pepsid, which is typical for what they do for this procedure. They give it to everyone before they have it. And then I got to talk to the doctor really quick as well, who I met with yesterday, Dr. Hosley. She's amazing. I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but one of the girls at the office at the Bastian Voice Institute mentioned if you're an anxious patient, and I can attest to this as an anxious patient, she is the best doctor to work with there. She has such a calming and meditative voice. She's so kind, so calm, and was really accepting and non-judgmental, and totally understood me as someone who has experienced emetophobia and just medical anxiety in general. So I felt super calm seeing her before the surgery, and I'm grateful that I got to chat with her really quick. She got to see my mom, she got to see me. We reconnected after our day yesterday. So then my camera died because I have so much to say about this whole thing, but after I saw the doctor, I saw the anesthesiologist, and I think that's the order. It's really fuzzy to me now, but I'll just tell you everything I can remember and how it happened best I can. But the anesthesiologist was great. He went over all of the risks and the process. I have had general anesthesia before, and that is what they did for this procedure, was general anesthesia administered through a catheter here. So it was super simple. I do get really nervous about like anything nausea, vomiting related. See, I have air moving through me already. This is kind of wild. No official burps yet, but I can feel it. But yeah, and he was like, you know, if you do feel really nauseous, we can give you something. If you feel anxious, we have something. So they had like anything that you would possibly need, which was really nice. I was feeling anxious, but not enough to need any medication, which was really good. And I'm actually really proud of myself for that too. So that was good. So once they were ready for me, I went into the operating room, and that room is really scary because you walk in and there's a ton of machinery, like loud machinery all around you. And you just go and you sit in this little chair and you're surrounded by all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be really brave. I sat down, but everyone was so nice. Like they made me feel so safe. I felt like I could just completely trust them and trust this process. And I got to see the doctor again really quick, and you know, we were ready to go. So they had me sit down, they wrapped me up in blankets, like a little burrito, which was very comfy. And they were warm blankets too, but not super hot. So I was very, very comfortable. It was very nurturing feeling. And then they tell me, you know, what they're doing. And as it gets closer, at one point she was like, all right, I'm going to administer the medicine now. So the anesthesia. And the minute she told me that, I just envisioned myself in gold light, as any spiritual girly would do, just to kind of hold that shield while I was under anesthesia. And literally within 2 seconds, I think it was like 2 to 5 seconds, I was out. Next thing I knew, they were waking me up, and I think the first thing I said was, I was like, oh my god, I didn't even know I was sleeping. I thought I was sleeping in my bed. Like, it was very weird. And they did take me into another room, so I was perceptive of that. And also like wondering what time it was, and I think I was like, you guys are so nice here, because they really were. Midwest Center for Day Surgery is the name of the surgery center they use right now. So They were fabulous, literally every single person I interacted with. So it was very funny because when I woke up, the patient who had surgery, who was stationed right across from me, she seemed to have this condition where she just was continuously burping like every 5 seconds, which burping is kind of triggering for me. Like as an emetophobe, of course it is. Like it's kind of, I still don't like it. Like I actually think burping is really disgusting, and I know it's normal. I'm gonna have to reframe my relationship with it. But so that was like a little uncomfortable for me because I was like, is she gonna throw up? Am I gonna see it? But either way, it was like foreshadowing for me, or I guess it was like synchronistic, if you want to say. Like I came out of this surgery so I can have the ability to burp again. And there she was, just setting an example for me. So after the procedure, I had a few more, I don't know if they were nurses or whatever they were. They basically helped me check out. They gave me some ibuprofen. They were going to give me Tylenol, but I do have a bit of an acetaminophen. I can't even say it. Acetaminophen sensitivity. So they switched it to ibuprofen, and they gave me some applesauce as well to have some sort of food with it, as well as a little bit of water. And basically when you wake up from this surgery, your throat is sore, but I would say it's only a 2 or 3 out of 10. It's really not bad. I've gotten more sore throats from like sleeping in my own bedroom, you know what I mean? Like with my mouth open. So it's more so just like, I think it's because they put a breathing tube in your throat. So I would say it's down here. My throat's a little bit tired. Like I can't really talk very loudly or anything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's interesting. That was like an observation. I didn't feel nauseous at all. Hooray, we love that. But yeah, my throat does feel a little bit dry right now, but yeah, that's it. So once I settled in, changed back into my normal clothes, they wheelchaired me out to the car. My mom was able to pull the car right out on the other side of the surgery center door. And I popped right in, super easy. And I got in the car and I was like, let's go. There's this like Whole Foods market type of place called Fresh Time. I was like, let's go to Fresh Time. And she was like, no, you're going to bed. So she brought me home, and I laid in bed and I passed out for a few hours. And I honestly would have slept more, but I was really hungry because I had only had applesauce and medicine all day. So then I woke up, had some like bananas and yogurt, and then I had some butternut squash soup later too. So those were nice and easy. Basically, you need to eat really, really soft foods and chew them really well and sip water in between each bite, especially as this kicks in. I think I actually had more leeway today than I'm going to have for the next several days. So that was good. And then for dinner I had more butternut squash soup and also salmon, because that's very soft and easy to eat. She said not to eat anything like steak, which thank goodness we did that last night. So we went for a little walk after dinner, which was good, just to get a little bit of movement in, but keep it really gentle. And that's really it. That's where we're at. So tomorrow we're actually going to fly home. It will be a full 24 hours after the surgery, which they said is totally fine since it is such a simple procedure. Again, the procedure itself is like 5 to 10 minutes, which is crazy, but they have to do all this setup to put in the breathing tube and like get to the right, like the esophageal sphincter and all these things. So, yeah. And then other things. So I also was going through, they gave us some amazing resources to go through. Dr. Bastian put together, you know, a whole website about R-CPD because it's such a new and underdiagnosed condition that he essentially founded here in Chicago, and he's spreading the word. People come here from all over the world to learn from him about this condition. And people do talk about it online. It's just not very, like, it hasn't been widespread medically yet. But it's very real, and I know I've been living with it my whole entire life. I never knew there was a name for it. I never knew I would ever be able to get treatment. I thought it was going to eventually like really cause some serious issues like in my fear-based mind when I was younger. So I'm just thankful that at this age that I'm at right now, and honestly whatever age anybody is who can get treatment, that there is some sort of a solution. So he has an amazing website with some really informational YouTube videos. I'm just going to link everything in the YouTube description for you. There's a video about what R-CPD is and what the symptoms are, which mine matched 100% to a T. It's kind of crazy because I have had symptoms from so many different like diagnoses, but it's always partial. This was a 100% match, which is why intuitively I knew this is what I needed to do. And then there were other ones that, there was another video about how like R-CPD relates to GERD and SIBO and IBS, which is also interesting. As someone who has chased different diagnoses and ailments and things for years on end now, this was validating. It almost kind of is funny because it's like, can it really be that simple? Can it really be this causing all of these other issues? And I do believe that's possible. And I'm not scared if I still have some symptoms come up because I've learned so much on how to support myself and support my body. So kind of can take things as it comes, but I don't feel like I have to be living in this endless spiral anymore. There's a light at the end of the tunnel and I'm already here. I'm on the other side of this literally lifelong journey. So yeah, that's where we're at today. So I can feel no burps yet. Should be getting micro burps within 24 to 72 hours. I'm feeling a lot of air shifting, but there's no release. It kind of is still getting trapped, but this muscle feels very sore. So as the Botox kicks in, I'm sure that it's going to start releasing. So it's kind of crazy. But anyways, I wanted to give you this update because I just think it's interesting. And also I hope that it can help somebody out there who's been suffering with something like this as much as I have. I was listening to Dr. Bastian's videos, and you know, my mom and Steven were watching it with me, and they're just like, you've been through so much. And I'm like, I know. And I started tearing up because it's just been so insanely difficult. If you have emetophobia, if you have never been able to burp, if you experience insane bloating where it feels like you're pregnant every single night and you need to lay down to get any sort of relief, and you have social anxiety and gurgling in your esophagus that is so loud, and a multitude of other GI type symptoms, definitely check it out. I don't know, it might be a piece of the puzzle for you as it was for me. So I do want to give you an update after a little bit of time has passed, but this is the process. This is how it works here. If you come to the Bastian Voice Institute where the R-CPD treatment was originated, I cannot thank Dr. Hosley enough. I cannot thank Dr. Bastian enough. And Kyle at the admissions desk, he really helped me organize all of my appointments and travel. And I reached out to him 4 years ago and came back around, and he was still there waiting for me by the time I was ready. So it's just amazing. I'm in awe and I'm so grateful. So I hope this was helpful, or at least insightful or interesting. I feel like I'm stepping into a brand new timeline of my life after this. So we're gonna head out tomorrow, and then our new chapter begins.